Have you ever noticed the quiet pull between strength and softness in yourself? The way one part of you wants to hold while the other longs to be held. Welcome to Shards, a spiritual journey in pieces. The episode today we're calling When He Met She in Me. Before I found the man in me, I had to understand the men that I came from and the messages I received about what it meant to be one. As you know, I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, and it was a world where the line between masculine and feminine wasn't just drawn, it was carved in stone. It was practiced in every gathering, and it was completely and totally acknowledged, announced, celebrated, and enforced. Masculine meant preacher, protector, provider, a man's man, firm handshake. I remember learning from the deacon at my church how to shake hands as a kid, and he drilled me each week on how to be a man. Deep voice. Don't cry. Don't sway. Don't soften. God made Adam first to lead. Eve was made to follow. That's what they said. That's what I believed. And that's my introduction to the masculine and feminine. But the men they pointed to, the ones who led and ruled and demanded respect, they weren't the ones who made me feel safe. They were the ones who scared me. One was my abuser. One stood in the pulpit. Others strutted on my childhood playgrounds. Their masculinity wielded like a weapon, shiny with approval, sharp with silence, a glance, a stare. Even my father, a man who retired as deputy warden of a state prison, didn't fit the mold they praised. He wasn't all swagger and brawn. He didn't boast or bark. His strength was quieter, more withdrawn, more complicated, and even that confused me because the world rewarded something different. What I did know, what I could feel, was the love of the women in my life. The women in my life held me. My mama, my grandma, the church ladies, they saw me. They saw this soft-hearted, clever little boy with 4 eyes that was being picked on at school. And they didn't try to harden me. They wrapped me in kindness and taught me how to survive. It was the women who showed me love, who whispered strength in my spirit in ways that men never seemed to know how to do. It was the women who taught me cleverness, how to outwit my bullies with humor, how to deflect cruelty with grace. So I grew up holding the feminine like a lantern. It lit my way when the masculine felt like a threat. But holding the lantern alone gets pretty heavy. Eventually, I needed someone to walk beside me, not a savior, not a bully, not a preacher, but a man I could trust. A man who could trust and see me as an equal, as deserving, as whole. I just didn't know that man, and I had never met that man. I believed it would be Jesus, but at the same time, how could it be Jesus, the Son of this God that is judgy, overpowering, commanding? I just didn't know that man would be me. As we discussed in the last episode, I went to that retreat a few weeks ago with a mission, not for enlightenment, not for escape, but for a rescue. Somewhere deep in the woods of my memory, I knew a little boy was waiting. The boy I had once been, curious, soft, full of song and sorrow. I had abandoned him long ago, not out of cruelty, but for protection, to survive the sharp edges of a world that did not know how to hold him. So I entered the retreat as a seeker, armed with courage and breath, ready to find that child and bring him home. I was determined. And the woods, oh, they were dark. Not the kind of dark that punishes, but the kind that reveals. There were moments when I wasn't sure if I was lost in myself or finally seeing the truth. In the medicine journeys, I wept without words. I watched as others shattered, grieved, reached out, and were met with kindness. And somewhere in that soft, collective surrender, something in me changed course. I stopped looking for the boy and began noticing something else, someone I didn't expect, someone I had kept in exile, someone who was coming to rescue me. The man. Not the man the world had forced upon me, stoic, rigid, armored, but a different kind of man, a quiet, steady presence, confident, but not cruel, strong, but not hard, a man with warm hands and eyes that knew how to weep without shame. I didn't find that boy in the woods. I found the man, or the man found me, and he could finally go into those woods and sit beside him, not to rescue the boy, but to let him know he never had to be alone again. That man was me. I had come seeking softness, and I had found strength that could hold it. And that's when the balance returned, not perfectly, not permanently, because it's a struggle every day, and I'm meditating and I'm reflecting on those moments, and I'm finding ways to be more whole with both the man, the boy, and myself. But truthfully, the feminine in me, the part that listens, nurtures, grieves, creates, was never meant to carry the whole load. She wasn't weak. She was waiting. I'm sure that those of you who are listening know that is a very powerful sign and symbol of our feminine nature. The ability to wait. Waiting for the masculine to come home, to stop performing and start becoming, to be not a guardrail, but a grounding, not a shield, but a shelter. And now that they dwell together in me and in my thoughts and in my being and in my internal life, not as opposites, but as partners, dancing finally in rhythm. Now, here we are, a people, a country, a culture, bearing the weight of an imbalance that feels cosmic, because it is. We worship a God, or we were told to worship a God, who looks suspiciously like the men in charge, judgmental, for me or against me, wrathful when not obeyed, selective with mercy, quick to punish, slow to comfort. And it only makes sense that when that's the God we were handed in Sunday school, when that's the voice thundering down from pulpits, why wouldn't we pattern our politics and our culture in the same way? The Southern Baptist Church is not unique. There's the LDS, there's the evangelical framework. So many of them have painted God as a cosmic father figure obsessed with order, obedience, and control. Not presence, not tenderness, not reciprocity. And in that system, the feminine, the emotional, the intuitive, the sensual, the communal becomes suspect. She is beautiful, but dangerous. She is wise, but not trustworthy. She is powerful, but unfit to lead. And when she dares to rise, to speak, which we've witnessed in our country in the last decade many times, when she dares to rise, to speak, to cry, to rage, to guide, she is labeled liberal, hysterical, unproductive, or simply too much. We see it everywhere in how we dismiss leaders with empathy, how we mock vulnerability, how we legislate the female body. We've been told that softness is weakness, that compassion is a liability, and that surrender is sin. Let's ponder this. And I ask that you plant this tiny little seed within yourself, not so that you can fight, but so that it may grow and make lasting change within you. What if the very thing we've been pushing away is the part of us that could heal the rest? Not overpower, but balance. Take a moment to settle. This has been a lot today. I've been thinking about this episode, and I hope it is reaching you. And I'm still not a great podcast maker, so if anybody has any thoughts on how to improve my sound quality and anything that would be helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment and let's settle in, and wherever you are, let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. And let your breath lighten and soften. Inhale gently. And as you exhale, imagine the weight of the world slipping just an inch further away. Imagine again on each exhale the weight of the world slipping just an inch further away. Now bring your attention inward to your chest, your belly, the space behind your heart, the quiet center of you, not the voice that pushes, performs, or plans, but the one that listens. Let yourself meet that softest part of you. Maybe it's a memory, let it be there, let it pass. Maybe it's a feeling, let it feel your body, let it feel your heart, and let it pass. And maybe it's just stillness. This is not weakness that we're feeling. This is the soil of inner transformation. Let's say that again. This is not weakness. This is the soil that has been tended to, turned over, enriched for personal transformation. Now picture a seed, small, humble. Those of you of the Christian tradition, the seed, the mustard seed, is very much a part of that faith. It says something along the lines of, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. Now imagine holding that seed in your hand. It can be in your palm or hold it in your fingers. And if you want to look at it in your mind's eye. This seed is the feminine, not as gender, but as energy. Think of all the feminine energies you've ever encountered. You know them. Give them a spot in this seed. Speak that into this seed, receptive, possibly nurturing, able to grow things, not systems that can be measured, but things that can be abundant. And you are the soft spot it's been waiting for. Breathing in. Now, let's plant it. Not with force, not with fear, but with trust. Let it sink into the unseen soil within you. Feel it going down. Feel it finding a spot to rest. And once you feel the seed has been planted, breathing still, no need to shape your breath, just breathe naturally. And imagine what it might become. Imagine what it will become. Imagine what it is now starting to become. A deeper patience, a fiercer compassion, a more honest yes, a more sacred no. This is how the world begins to change. Not by shouting louder, but by softening deeper. Not from the mountain tops, but from the root. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to tend the seed. Inhale, exhale. Feel that. You You are not alone. You are part of a great becoming. And in that becoming, may your masculine hold space for the feminine to rise. May the masculine be there, holding space, sacred, beautiful space, as your feminine rises and grows. And may the dance between them carry you home. Thank you for joining me today. I am so grateful for you tuning in, and I'm just feeling really hopeful right now. And it's not because I know anything that's going on. I'm saving and protecting myself right now by not tuning into the news that much, which is very unusual for me, but it's really working. I am watching The Golden Girls, and I am watching Designing Women, and I am finding in these two shows, as fun and silly and collectively ridiculous as the scenarios are, these sitcoms, they were so on the cusp, and here we are, 2025. Find ways to remember, find ways to reconnect, find ways to nurture those seeds, those tender roots that are now, I hope you feel this, they are now starting to soften and grow slowly. Patience, my friend. I'll see you next time for the next shard. Until then, breathe,